We're excited today, and we all know each other, right? Sometimes, Chad, we do introductions around the room, just to who are you and what brought you here kind of thing. But we are very fortunate today to have a new guest minister join us, Chad Snyder from the Twin Cities. And I am going to turn the entire program over to him to manage. And he will introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are, and your wife as well. And we're so happy to have you here. So thanks for joining us.
Let's open this morning with words by the Reverend Victoria Safford, who for a long time was the lead minister at the White Bear congregation. Our mission is to plant ourselves at the gates of hope, not the prudent gates of optimism, not the stalwart, boring gates of common sense, nor the cheerful, flimsy garden gate of everything is going to be all right, but a different, sometimes lonely place, a place of truth-telling, the piece of ground from which you see the world both as it is and as it could be, the place from which you glimpse not only struggle, but the joy of the struggle. So good morning again. My name is Chad Snyder. I am a relatively newly fellowshipped Unitarian Universalist minister. I graduated from seminary in April. I have been a member of the Merging Waters congregation for 21 years now. You may know it as Michael Servetus congregation in the northern suburbs of Minneapolis. I served there for several years as a lay leader and commissioned lay minister before finally answered that voice that kept telling me to go to seminary. My wife, Amy, is here with me, and in fact, since she bothered to get up, and she has often been my co-leader in services, she's going to do some readings for me this morning. She was a children's librarian. I incorporate children's stories into every service I do, and sometimes I get to read them, but when she comes along, I make her read them, because sometimes they make me cry, and I'm going to make her do that. Let us turn then to our chalice lighting this morning, and I'm told that I should call on the youngest person in the room.
Well, we're saying Neil is
Neil.
not the youngest, but
We could say these words together. 100 times every day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life are based on the labors of others, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and still receiving. You know, I don't necessarily expect that kind of thoughtful wisdom from a physics genius, but words from Albert Einstein. And now I'm told that you have a lovely tradition of greeting one another in the spirit of generosity, cultivating gratitude and hope, covenanting freely and compassionately to share our faith, presence, and resources. So please share your presence here this morning and welcome each other.
knock on wood. So if you say, we haven't had a giant snowfall, because it's really quick, and then they do this. Okay. Makes sense. It's Italian. It's the Italian knife. No, it's your fingers like this.
The Sufi poet Hafiz wrote that what we speak becomes the house we live in. In many UU congregations, especially smaller congregations like yours, time is taken each week to speak our joys, our sorrows, the moments of our lives that make up who we are. And so I invite anyone who has a joy or a concern or a sorrow to share, that they would like to share, to come forward to the microphone here. And please, as is your lovely tradition, to place a stone in the water to mark that joy or sorrow. Are there joys or sorrows to share here this morning?
So we have a joy. Yesterday was we've been helping with the Los Amigos program for the past year, and yesterday was our first time that we were able to go with one specific family, and it's kind of a start of a new tradition, and it was just really a great experience and nice to meet a family and deliver food for them and have it as personal as we can be, a little bit more. So enjoy of that.
I have a joy and a concern. The joy was on Friday. We had the seniors twice a year at the high school. There's exit interviews where the students do their portfolios. They're always looking for volunteers. I try to do it each time, and it always amazes me on how incredible the school district supports individuals, no matter if they're individuals that get straight A's or individuals that have special needs, and all those ranges in between, is these individuals tend to flourish. So I'm very grateful for the school district that my kids have been able to go through. And my concern is I know a lot of people are probably out because we are all sick. So that's the reason why I'm staying in the back there. Our family's been sick for 2 weeks, so I have a feeling we probably don't have as many people around today because there's so many things going around. So keep yourself healthy.
Two. One is a wish for Joe Haberman, a member of the society, who is starting some medical treatment next week. So we're hoping that it goes well and easily for her. And number two, are we reawakening of traditions that we used to have in this building? Last week we had our after Thanksgiving pancake breakfast, and we decorated for the holidays, which we haven't done in a lot of years. So very happy that we're bringing back some of those traditions.
Yeah, I also have a joy and a concern. The joy was yesterday when Thomas R., the local poet, and his friends provided the Beatles concert, a traditional one. This is the 14th that they've done it in River Falls around John Lennon's death. And imagine all of these seats filled with older hippie generation people who love the Beatles songs and who love that community. They always come back here, and I'm hoping that they like the acoustics enough that they'll come back next year in December. It was just great to see this auditorium filled. Concern, sort of a light turnout today. I'm hoping it's not because our pledge forms, our stewardship forms were due today, but thanks to the Dolmeyers, and we got one other from the DePesos. So just to remind you, there's been a gentle reminder that you will be called if you don't submit your form, okay? Someone will be calling you. Anyway, thanks for doing that, because we're getting a little bit more formal about distributing the jobs that need to be done around here. So it's very important, not the monetary, but the service part of this form. Thanks.
Well, I'm speaking as a former Finance Committee chair for 10 years. I will say don't sleep on the monetary part either. Anything else to share? Well, everybody else seems to know what to expect here.
This past weekend, the university football team won the third round playoff game. So this is now our winningest season ever with 11 wins, which is very cool, very crazy. Farthest we've gone in the playoffs ever. And we were just really ready for next week too. So we're very excited about that, and we want to win the national championship. That's pretty much it.
Well, I'm in from Minnesota. I think the Vikings would like some notes. And I've now exhausted everything I know about sports. Anyone else? I'm going to share a couple. One, I do chaplaincy work at a low-income housing building in Minneapolis, and one of the security guards there is a young man who came to the United States at 15, I think, is a citizen, Somali, and after the events of the last week, told me that he is now carrying his passport with him everywhere he goes, asking that his mother not go outside more than she has to, even though she is a citizen, because she does not speak English really well at all. And the fear in that community is palpable and real and offensive to who we should be as a people. And then I place one last large stone, knowing that we all carry joys and sorrows, pieces of our lives that maybe are too close to our heart to share with each other. So know, too, that those are held in love by this community. Let's all take a breath. And one more. Hand in hand in hand, we gather. Hand in hand to find comfort. Hand in hand to be gently yet firmly pulled beyond comfort into what is not yet, but by our hands could yet be. Hand in hand in hand. To know, to feel that we are connected. Hand in hand. To gather, to seek, to create, to share, to shape. Hand by hand, the divine. And now I'm going to invite my wife up to share a story. I'm pretty sure she gets credit for finding this one. And I've got the slides under control up here.
This is Love by Matt de la Peña with illustrator Lauren Long. Oops. In the beginning, there is light, and two wide-eyed figures standing near the foot of your bed. and the sound of their voices is love. A cab driver plays softly on his radio while you bounce in the back with the bumps of the city. And everything smells new, and it smells like life. Love, too, is the smell of crashing waves and a train whistling blindly in the distance. And each night, the sky above your trailer turns the color of love. In a crowded concrete park, you toddle towards summer sprinklers while older kids skip rope and run up the slide, and soon you are running among them, and the echo of your laughter is love. On the night the fire alarm blares, you're pulled from sleep and whisked into the street, where a quiet old lady is pointing to the sky. Stars shine long after they've flamed out, she tells you, and the shine they shine with is love. But it's not only stars that flame out, you discover. It's summers, too, and friendships, and people. One day, you find your family nervously huddled around the TV. But when you asked what happened, they answer with silence and shift between you and the screen. In your dream that night, you are searching for a love that seems lost. You open and close drawers, lift cushions, empty old toy bins, but there's nothing. You wake with a start in the arms of a loved one who bends to your ear and whispers, "It's okay, it's okay, it's love." And in time, you learn to recognize a love overlooked, a love that wakes at dawn and rides to work on the bus, a slice of burned toast that tastes like love. And it's love in each deep crease of your grandfather's face as he lowers himself onto an overturned bucket to fish. And it's love in the rustling leaves of gnarled trees lined behind the flowered fields. And it's love in the made-up stories your uncles tell in the backyard between wild horseshoe throws. And the man in rags outside the subway station plays love notes that lift into the sky like tiny beacons of light. And the face staring back at you in the bathroom mirror, this too is love. So, when the time comes for you to set off on your own, heavy winds will sweep past your building and great gray clouds will congregate above. Your loved ones will stand there like puddles beneath their umbrellas, holding you tight and kissing you and wishing you luck. But it won't be luck you'll leave with, because you'll have love. You'll have love, love, love.
I have a couple of readings before my remarks. The first is from writer Sulika Juhad's piece, "The Gospel According to Dogs." Given Lentil's age, I didn't expect her to be with us long, and I was surprised by my peace about that. I didn't need to cling to the promise of years. I could be grateful for what we had now. But as the months passed, I've watched her grow stronger and seemingly younger. It's such a joy to watch her discover and recover dormant parts of herself. She still spends most of her waking hours curled beside me like a hot water bottle. But now she also zooms around the yard and plays with the other pups. But the other day, I caught her tussling with a tennis ball for the first time. Lentil has been my teacher in impermanence, in how to love and live now without bargaining for longevity. Her timing felt ordained. Last summer, a few months after I adopted her, I learned my leukemia was back, but that this time it was incurable. Between that and the state of the world, the sorrow, the noise, it's easy to slip into despair. But caring for these dogs keeps me tethered to the living world and faithful to love. And the second reading is an excerpt from Reverend Dr. King's Christmas Eve service in 1967 at his home congregation, the Ebenezer Baptist Church. In 1963, on a sweltering August afternoon, we stood in Washington, D.C., and talked to the nation about many things. Toward the end of that afternoon, I tried to talk to the nation about a dream that I had had. And I must confess to you today that not long after talking about that dream, I started seeing it turn into a nightmare. I remember the first time I saw that dream turn into a nightmare, just a few weeks after I had talked about it. It was when 4 beautiful, unoffending, innocent Negro girls were murdered in a church in Birmingham, Alabama. I watched that dream turn into a nightmare as I moved through the ghettos of the nation and saw my black brothers and sisters perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity, and saw the nation doing nothing to grapple with the Negro's problem of poverty. I saw that dream turn into a nightmare as I watched my black brothers and sisters in the midst of anger and understandable outrage, in the midst of their hurt, in the midst of their disappointment, turn to misguided riots to try to solve that problem. I saw that dream turn into a nightmare as I watched the war in Vietnam escalating, and I saw so-called military advisors, 16,000 strong, turn into fighting soldiers until today over 500,000 American boys are fighting on Asian soil. Yes, I am personally the victim of deferred dreams, of blasted hopes. So my wife, who's here today, pre-approved what I'm about to tell you. My wife is in line at Target just a few days ago. And she's getting cranky. I know she seems very sweet. She can be cranky. There she is, her cart full of what she sometimes calls emergency groceries. The emergency usually is we forgot some stuff the last time we bought groceries or ordered them, or underestimated what was in the fridge. And so tonight's dinner might be a bit slim on veggies. Now, Amy really likes salads. I mean, really likes salads. So it probably does qualify as a low-key emergency if our vegetable supply is too low. So hoping for a proper salad at dinner, my wife stops in at Target. Even though she knows she has this appointment coming up. Even though she knows she's pushing her luck on getting home in time to zoom into that appointment. There's time, she figured. She hoped. But now, in that line, that hope is getting squelched by the young woman in front of her in line. This young Somali mother with her little girl, maybe 4 years old, is taking, in Amy's time-crunched and crispy mind, way too long to sort through coupons or gift cards or whatever she's doing to finish paying for her purchases, her groceries. Now, mind you, in all fairness to my lovely wife, Amy knows in part of her mind that this young woman isn't doing anything even remotely wrong. She's just going through her day. But that part of Amy's mind is having trouble being heard in this moment over the frustrated grumbling of the part that knows she needs to get to that appointment, and she's really pushing her luck on time. So she's getting cranky. And maybe getting more cranky because she knows she shouldn't be getting cranky in the first place. We've been there. And then, just as the young mother is finally wrapping up, someone walks up to the cashier and pauses the whole operation for another 30 seconds or a minute, handing the cashier a little decorative bag, a gift bag. The cashier is surprised, doesn't understand in the moment what the gift is about. She and her friend chat for a little bit, and the friend heads off. And then the clerk turns back to the young mother, says, "I'm sorry. She gave this to me because my grandson was born premature, and he is very sick." And there's a pause in line at Target. And the young mother asks, "Would you like a hug?" And the clerk, kind of speechless, nods. And this young mother walks around the counter, hugs a stranger in a moment of pain. And then, to make the whole scene even more picturesque, the little girl comes around and hugs her too. And my wife, now, as she put it, her heart didn't exactly grow 3 sizes that day, Grinch style, but she did get less cranky. Stopped, even just for that moment, from fixating on her time crunch and frustration by a connection between 2 strangers. Love, our story tells us. Love tastes like a slice of burned toast. It is the wind rustling the leaves when we pause to listen. Our uncle's goofy made-up stories. I'm one of those uncles. The love notes played on guitar by the man in rags outside the subway station, lifting into the sky, drifting among us like tiny beacons of hope, of light, like little shiny pieces of possibility, pieces of hope. Would you like a hug? Such a simple question, but a question offered as they both stand among the scattered pieces of their own hopes. A grandmother's joy-filled hope for a new baby, happy and healthy, squirming and screaming, gurgling, cooing, burping in her arms, maybe even spitting up on her shoulder. Shattered by biology, by medical emergency, by an early birth and all the fear that comes with that. I have a now almost 19-year-old nephew who was born 10 weeks premature. I remember that fear. So maybe it's not a hope lost completely, but it is a hope that in that moment is in pieces. Pieces that in the moment seem hard to ever piece back together. And a young Somali mother's hope to be part of a nation, of a community, of a beloved community, in the words of Dr. King. That she and her family will be welcome and safe, that her little girl will make friends and read books and maybe get silly roles in bad school plays, that she'll grow up flourishing and loved and maybe have a family of her own someday in this nation. A hope that maybe for her was completely unspoken until in recent days it came under attack. Until it too was shattered by bigotry and by hate and by fear, scattered into pieces that may never fit together in the same way again. Would you like a hug? Such a tiny question, but a question that floats between them. Floated between me and my wife when she came home and told me the story. Floats between us now in this space. A tiny beacon of hope that love still is at work in this world. Hope and love to bolster the heart of a scared grandma. A young mother's hope and faith that her kindness would be accepted and welcomed, even as her family, as people who look like her, are under attack and suspicion. We have here at least two pieces of hope. One in the offer, one in the acceptance. Picked up, dusted off, and not exchanged, but pieced together into the shape, or maybe just a shape, one of many possible shapes of love. Now, this is no cheerful, flimsy promise that everything is going to be all right. That's not hope, because it isn't honest. Everything may not be all right, but some things can be, will be. Even as we stand among the shards of the shattering why, hope tells us that something more, something different, something better is possible. Not that it is promised, but it is possible. Because hope is not a promise. It is, I think, a challenge. Hope is not delicate daydreams. Hope lives in the world. Hope knows that it is not only stars that flame out, it's summers too, and friendships and people, and nations and ideals, and health. Now, Dr. King, a scant 4 years after he delivered the I Have a Dream speech that captivated the moral imagination of a country, admitted to his congregation that he had seen that dream turn into nightmare. 4 little girls murdered in a church, deep and deepening poverty across the country. Hate-filled voices still screaming about the very idea that black people would be recognized as people. Understandable but still tragic riots sparked by rage over centuries of injustice and poverty and oppression. A bloody ongoing war. Those nightmares are still with us. Yes, declared the man whose dream brought hope to so many. Yes, I am personally the victim of deferred dreams, of blasted hopes. Now, I cut off the reading right there as a little ministerial trick, a kind of dramatic effect. Because that wasn't the end of Reverend King's message. On that Christmas Eve, he told his congregation that yes, dreams were deferred, hope was blasted by the forces of the world, and he told them in spite of that, I close today by saying I still have a dream, because you know you can't give up on life. If you lose hope, somehow you lose that vitality that keeps life moving. You lose that courage to be, that quality that helps you go on in spite of it all. And so today, I still have a dream. He had a dream that people would be judged by the content of their character. A dream that the fellowship of all people would be something real, not just platitudes in Christmas cards and carols. A dream of an economic system that served everyone, honors the dignity of each and every human being among us. A dream of peace. Now look, those were hard dreams to hold on to in 1967. They are hard dreams to hang on to in December 2025. But in those closing lines of his Christmas sermon, King held up hope and faith. I still have a dream, he said. I still have a dream that with this faith, we will be able to adjourn the councils of despair and bring new light into the dark chambers of pessimism. With this faith, we will be able to speed up to the day when there will be peace on earth and goodwill toward men. Now listen to his words there. I still have a dream that with this faith, we will be able. This dream, this hope King is telling us about, he's telling us that it is not something that just happens, that magically appears, poof, out of thin air. It is something we do, something we live into being. Hope is a choice. And it is by no means our only choice. We are lured by cynicism and by despair, by indifference, by ignorance, by fear, and by hate. And all of that is understandable. And it gets more understandable every time I get breaking news on my phone. The singer Nick Cave once wrote to a fan that cynicism is the most common and easy of evils. It shields us from feeling the pain in our lives and in the world. And it excuses us from doing the work of easing that pain. And the same, I think, can be said of despair and indifference, even of fear and of hate. All of them give us permission to look at the ways the world has broken hope into countless jagged pieces and say to ourselves, well, I can't put all of that together. And of course, I can't. You can't. Nobody can. Not alone. But that's not how hope works. We look around us and we see hope shattered or torn into pieces. And we forget that hope was always in pieces. It doesn't come any other way. Now, Dr. King spoke often, including in that Christmas Eve sermon, just a few months before he was killed. He spoke of the way all people are tied into a single garment of destiny. Well, what if hope is like that garment? A single garment connecting all of us, but not a garment made out of whole cloth. It's stitched together. There were holes worn in the knees or the elbows, patched by pieces of mismatched cloth. Clashing patterns that hold it, hold us, hold hope, hold possibility together. Hope will be broken. Blasted into pieces, torn into rags and shreds, and into loose threads. It'll be broken by broken trust. By the tornado, by the diagnosis, by the executive order or the knock at the door, by injustice and hate and fear, by indifference, and by the random acts of the universe. And yet, there it is, scattered and strewn about and waiting for us to pick it up bit by bit. To choose. Hope is like that. It shatters, it scatters into thousands or millions of pieces. Some of the pieces are too big for any one of us to pick up and carry on our own. Some are so small that we might miss them completely if we weren't choosing to look for them. Ground bits that could be lost against the background of everything else happening in our lives or in the world. In the news, in the world around us, but beneath the anger, hidden behind the debris of cynicism and despair, there they are, those pieces of hope. They don't necessarily make all that much sense. They don't fit together the way they used to, the way that we expect them to. If they were a puzzle, we don't have the box with the picture on the front anymore. But they're there. Big chunks and tiny fragments, powderized, or threads that we can gather up and cup gently in our hands. It's more than any one person could carry. And that is the way it's supposed to be. Because in the end, hope isn't a thing we hold. It isn't a thing we give. It isn't ever really just one thing. It is and can only be, has always and only ever been, pieces that we share, that we shape together into whatever we can, whenever we can, with what we have at hand. A hug offered and accepted. An old dog tussling with a tennis ball. Burned toast on a snowy morning, and soaring notes outside a subway station. Hope is never a complete picture. It is an ever-shifting image of the future, a vision of the possible that we keep piecing together from all those pieces that we bring together. Amen. And may it be so, because we go out in the world and make it so. And I see Don reaching for a microphone, and I am told it is a tradition here to quiz the preacher. So if there are questions, I am happy to do my best to answer them. I have been a lawyer for many years, so I am good at dancing around questions I don't know how to answer.
So since I'm holding a microphone,
Gives you the privilege.
I will take that privilege. As maybe a lot of you know, and my wife certainly knows, that for the past 4 or 5 years, I've been heavily involved in redistricting efforts in Wisconsin. The hope that gerrymandering would finally go away. And we don't need to go into all of the history, but there was an Ann shaking her head.
Those of you on video, there's a violent head shaking going on by a spouse, I believe.
But there was a big hope in 2020 that we could get this solved. And it didn't happen, but an election away, a Supreme Court election away, it did happen in the courts for the state of Wisconsin, but not for the congressional map. And the recent news in the federal Supreme Court that said, go ahead and partisan gerrymander as much as you want, Texas, California. It's okay with us. Justice Kagan has some things to say about that. But I still hold out hope that the congressional map in Wisconsin can be taken and revised. And that glimmer, that little beam of hope, I think will grow. And that's just my story. And maybe I'll pass it to Allison just in front of me, because she's got a favorite quote from Margaret Mead about small groups of people.
Probably everybody's heard this quote from Margaret Mead, but Never underestimate the difference that can be made by a small group of committed individuals. The difference that can be made. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Other questions? Thank you so much. Really, really interesting. Thoughts?
And I will say, Don, on that, and this could apply to a lot of things these days, but sometimes maybe those pieces of hope just have to get ground down enough for people to see that there's something we have to do. That recent shadow docket decision from the Supreme Court on Texas is pushing us to further and further toward the idea that people are going to say we can't have politicians deciding who their voters are.
Exactly.
I hope.
Exactly, and every action taken by every person, like delivering food and being very public about that what's going on right now is not who we are, makes a difference.
I'm afraid it might be who we are, but it's not who we want to be. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel talked about religion, the core of religion being the embarrassment over the gap between who we are and who we want to be. And that, I think, answering that gap is what liberal religious traditions are called to do right now.
Mm-hmm. Other comments?
Snyder remarks, as my favorite English teacher used to say.
And thank you, too, for Amy, for the children's story. I think we all enjoy, even if there aren't small children here, we love the kids' stories.
So, yeah, we do. And as I think I was telling Don, my final project in seminary was a paper that I think might actually get published in a UU journal on using children's story as liturgy in all worship. It touches us in a way that we tend to be a people of words and imagery, and carefully written pieces like what Matt LaPena does, and I recommend basically anything he's written, cut through the executive part of our brain into the emotional pieces that really are what connect us. So.
Since we have a little more time, I'll just make one comment about Albert Einstein's quote that you shared at the beginning. Isaac Newton said something similar. He said, if I have seen any further than the past, it's because I'm standing on shoulders of giants. So we all need to recognize that the past, as well as the present, help us see into the future.
That interdependent web of existence is across time and the world, yes.
Okay, that's good.
All right. Well, we have a few announcements. You can see them there on the screen. I don't want to be the PowerPoint presenter who reads the screen to you. But sounds like Poetry Club and an administration committee. Ooh, that sounds like a fun committee. Today, lots of fun stuff coming up. I love that you're doing a solstice service later in the day on the 21st. That's lovely.
We'll have more information in the newsletter about that, but it'll be about 4 o'clock. Elizabeth and I are planning the tie-down ceremony. She's very creative and clever, so I'm sure that she's clever. And if you want to bring an order of gas or something, we'll have something sparkling to consume and orders.
Lovely.
Some kind of chunk around the bonfire, probably. We're meeting around the corner.
Other than those on the screen, are there any other announcements?
Thank you. My wife, Mary, and I have been meeting with Kate Ihus and Nancy Miller Wednesday afternoons for the past few weeks, discussing spiritual search, personal spiritual search, and we're trying to share ideas that would help one another grow spiritually, using prayers that have worked, meditative practices, sharing resources, websites, magazines, articles and that sort of thing. After the first of the year, we plan to start meeting out here at UU, and I hope that other members will help us get together and mutually grow spiritually. Thank you. And if you have questions, why, talk to us.
Well, as a minister, I will wholeheartedly endorse that.
I'll give another announcement. You guys all know me, and I just wanted to let you know that with hope in my heart and hope for our ability to build the community that we all imagine, I'm running for mayor of River Falls. So.
And this is an endorsement. This wonderful woman, her sister, was mayor of River Falls in the past. So strong family tradition. Katie Chafee.
Well, now it can be a little sibling rivalry and see if you can be better.
Well, she's dead, so I'll
Strategically done. Any other announcements?
But there's treats in there.
Oh, yeah, treats. Of course. Don't forget treats.
Yeah.
Well, then, before we say our closing words together, I have the closing words from the Reverend Richard Gilbert. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business. Imagine that the picture of our being is never complete. We will always and only be shaping that picture. Thank you for welcoming me to your space. Please go out into the world. Shape the world into the picture of what it could be, what we know it should be. And now let us gather around and say these words of benediction and challenge to each other.
Support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings.